Welcome to the Transformative Principal Podcast, where we learn how to be an amazing educational leader. I am your host, Jethro Jones. Are you ready to be a transformative principal? I'm looking for about 10 people who are ready to do what it takes to lead with integrity, find balance, and take your school to the next level. If you're looking to improve your leadership in a measurable way, go to transformativeprincipal.org/mastermind to see if you qualify to join a group of like-minded people who are ready to be the best principals in the country. It's hiring season all across the country and time to dust off your interview questions. Go to transformativeprincipal.org to download 10 interview questions to find the best teachers. Welcome to Transformative Principal. Today, we're turning the mics back on me again so that I can talk to you about the mastermind group that I am implementing. Daniel Bauer, who is also doing a mastermind group, exchanged interview spots with me so that we could tell you about the opportunities that await. I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you take a chance to listen to part 2 or part 1, depending on where you're listening to this at, of Daniel Bauer's podcast, Better Leaders, Better Schools. So if you're interested in a mastermind group and joining mine, please go to transformativeprincipal.org/mastermind.
You know, I'm happy to connect with you, Jethro. Been watching you from afar and listening from afar, and happy to say you're my first friend in Alaska, which is pretty cool. The power of technology to connect is just amazing. So how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. This is an exciting time to talk to you. You're my second friend from Chicago. I hired a teacher from Chicago this year, and it's been pretty cool to get to know him and hear him talk about the big city Chicago compared to the little tiny city of 11,000 people in Kodiak, Alaska, on an island, no less.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, wow. I wonder what his experience has been like transitioning to Alaska. But enough about Chicago, enough about Alaska. Jethro, what I'm really pumped about is hearing that you are going to be starting online masterminds for school leaders. I know my why. And people can listen to the bonus episode released on the same day over at Better Leaders, Better Schools. But for the Transformative Principal audience, why are you starting these masterminds?
Well, you know, what's really cool is that you and I are both getting in this together, and we've bounced ideas off of each other, learned from each other. And for me, the truth is, I started doing my podcast because I was not satisfied with the professional development that I was getting, and I wanted something more and better. And I got to tell you, I have been learning as my assistant principal, and I say in dog years, and I'm learning way faster than I ever thought was possible from the podcast that I'm doing. And that's because I'm connecting with other people who have a similar job position, but very different approaches, policies, rules, and we can feed off of each other and find things that work. And I've implemented so many things in my 2 schools that I've been at since I started doing the podcast that it's just incredible. And even things that are tiny all the way up to big, huge, monumental changes, I've been able to implement them at both places and really seen a ton of amazing growth. And that's pretty selfish. And I've been holding all that in. I've been sharing it through the podcast. But what I want to do is help other people who are in the same position as me that want to become better faster. I want to help them learn and grow at an accelerated pace and be learning in dog years, just like I am. And I really think that a mastermind is the right way to do that. It gives us a sense of accountability and support from groups of other people who are similar to us in a specific way, that we're all educators who are trying to make the world better for our kids. And by doing that, we can get on the same team and start doing some really incredible things.
You know, let's dig into the accountability piece. I didn't get to mention that on the podcast where you interviewed me, and I'm sad that we didn't go there, but I'm happy because we're going to say, hey, listen to Jethro talk about it too. So how do masterminds help school leaders be accountable?
So what happens is you have an opportunity to talk with some other people, and we have that opportunity on social media, on Voxer, Twitter, all those places. We can share all these things, but the problem with those is that we don't really get to go deep all the time, and we don't get to like really be vulnerable with each other. And one of the things that I know will help with my accountability is understanding people better and being able to be in a group where you are accountable to each other because you're all putting forward something to say, I'm serious about this, a monetary amount to say, this is important to me. That really helps you know that every Thursday at 8:00 or whenever it is, you're going to have an opportunity to talk to that group of people, and you're going to have to come ready to play, and you're going to have to come ready to engage and be part of it. And it's so easy in this day and age of 140 character limits to be shallow and to not go deep. And with a mastermind, you're able to go deep because of the relationships that you make, because you are committing to doing this at a specific time every week and making sure that you're supporting those other people who are in your group. Since you didn't get an answer, is there anything you want to add to that, Daniel?
Well, I think you're absolutely right on. And there's something about saying to a group of people that you start building relationships and then very strong ties with, when you say, I'm going to accomplish this by next week, and those 4, 5, maybe even 9 other people are going to eagerly wait, right? Anticipate what your answer will be the next week. That really makes you step up your game a little bit. And so I think you're right on with that. And the accountability piece is huge, huge for masterminds.
Yeah. And once you put it out there, somebody said something to me the other day that was, you speak ideas into existence. And
it's powerful.
That idea of, once I say it, then I've actually got to follow through with it, and we can think a lot of things and hem and haw and wait until we're ready, or quote unquote. But once you've got an accountability partner that says, okay, I'm going to check with you on that next time we meet, and when that meeting is, then you're going to be a lot more likely to at least try to do something. And if you don't do it, then you're going to have a good reason why you didn't do it. And those accountability partners are going to understand and are going to say, we get that. Maybe that was a good decision. Or they're going to call you out and say, wait a minute, you said last week you were going to do that. Why didn't you do it? We need, what's going on? We need to understand why you didn't do that, because you told us all you were going to. And when it's someone that you have a relationship with and you really believe loves you and you love them, then it's a lot easier for you to be real and vulnerable about why you didn't. And it's tough for us to say, I was afraid, even though sometimes that's the truth. I was afraid of how that person would respond. So I didn't do it and I procrastinated. And when you've got a group that'll support you, then it's easier to say those vulnerable things that you aren't so keen on saying in front of everybody else.
Do you have any ideas yet, Jethro, of how you're going to create a space within the mastermind so that people can be authentic, vulnerable, so they can develop these relationships?
Well, there are a couple of things that we need to do first. I really believe in the power of open communication. I've got some communication cards that I use with my staff, and you can find that on my blog, jethrojones.com, where I talk about those. And those communication cards really give us the tools to start difficult conversations. And so having a safe place to do that, establishing norms and things like that, is going to definitely help. But then there are some other things that we're going to do, like take a DISC personality profile that I believe you're going to do as well, and then do some other tests like that to see how we communicate with each other and how to support each other in being good communicators so that we can have that safe place. And if we don't have that safe place, then none of that's going to work. And over my 2 years of doing my podcast, I've learned how to make people feel safe and make them feel comfortable when we're talking, so that they're able to share some of their vulnerability and know that it is a safe place where there's support, there's not judgment, there's help, there's not hurting. And that's a really important thing. So I know that I can do that and provide that safe place so that we can get vulnerable, find out the real issues, and then help each other grow in remarkable ways.
I love that answer in the communication card. I just Googled those, and that looks pretty cool. I'm going to have to check those out. So, something you also mentioned is, masterminds are a little bit different in terms of the vulnerability, authenticity, and we just talked about how you're going to set that up. But why does it occur here in masterminds and not on Twitter, not in Vox or Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups? How are these different?
So these are different because masterminds are really focused on everybody buying in, everybody being committed, everybody holding each other accountable. On Twitter or Voxer or these other social media sites, you can pop in, you can be distracted, you can check out, one of the things I've noticed on Voxer, and I love the Voxer groups that I'm in, I learned so much from them, but somebody can be vulnerable, and then somebody else can come in and share something awesome that happened that day, and the person's vulnerability kind of gets buried. And it's easy for everyone else to not engage with that because they maybe didn't hear it, or it went by too fast, or they got caught up in the other conversation that may have been more interesting. It's easy for the vulnerability and the real issues to just kind of get looked over when you're on these social media platforms. And the mastermind focuses on everybody who is participating having a voice and having an opportunity to talk about what they're really struggling with or what they're really doing great with. And it's not just about the bad things, it's also about the good things too. But it makes it so that we're focused and we're listening to each other and not just letting things pass by. It's not going to be a stream. It's going to be a connection. It's going to be a group. There's going to be a feeling there where we're going to know each other and want to be engaging in those conversations with each other.
Yeah, that's really good. And that level of engagement, I think that really is what sets apart masterminds from these other groups. Like you said, things get buried, stuff goes by really fast, and things get missed. But when everybody's there for that hour and they're present and they're really focused in on that person on the hot seat and what they're sharing, you're going to get a lot of value from that. And just so much great stuff that's going to help you push past your obstacles and your challenges. Jethro, you mentioned how professional development that you were getting was leaving you unsatisfied, right? So what is it about professional development, and in this case specifically masterminds, that is really going to satisfy people?
So this is going to be focused specifically on what you personally need. That's what's so powerful. When it's focused on some district agenda or other principals agenda, then that's good and that's great. And I had some wonderful professional development and continue to have wonderful professional development. But what I need are specific answers to my specific questions. And how do I deal with this specific situation? Those are the things where it becomes much more powerful when it's really focused on me personally and what I need. That's where the mastermind comes in and will help. One of the things that we're going to do is do some leadership simulations, which will give us a challenge or an issue, and we'll role play that situation out and come up with ways to deal with that situation. So some of those will be focused specifically on a real situation someone's dealing with. Others will be situations that we just need to know how to deal with as principals. And that approach will allow us to fail in a safe place if we don't have a good answer for a question, like dealing with a parent who wants a specific teacher to not teach their student when that's the only option they have. How are you going to have that conversation with that parent so that they not only are okay with having that teacher, but also excited about having that teacher, because that teacher is actually really good, and whatever dirt that person thinks they have is not only irrelevant, but untrue. And that person is actually going to help their child do better. How do you have those conversations? And those kind of simulations where we go through and practice that and role play it are going to really help us to do better. And when those situations are real situations that you're actually dealing with that week, and you want advice from 4 or 5 or 10 other principals who can tell you how they would handle that, that is some real power right there.
You're amazing, because the two parts that I love what you said there is the personalization of what you get, right? It's catered to you, the member of the mastermind. That's incredible. We want that for our students. And so often as school leaders, we don't necessarily do these best practices for our people. And here as a school leader, right, you're going to get exactly what you need from the group, because the group is focused on your needs, right? The other thing that I love, that parent example with the student and the teacher and the conflict there. I could talk, my school, there's the principal, I'm an AP, and there's the other AP. We could have a conversation. We'll probably generate some decent ideas. On some level, the thinking stays the same because we're the same 3 people that are always together. Multiply that by 3 more people. Now there's 9 in the group, right? Almost 10, let's say. Imagine the value, the questions, the feedback you'll get from that whole group when you bring that parent problem to the mastermind. This is just getting me so excited thinking about how school leaders, the tools, right? The tools they're going to have for their toolbox that they could bring back to their school to serve their communities. This is exciting what you are offering school leaders through your masterminds. And let's stay on that subject of excitement. Of everything included in the masterminds, what has you the most excited?
Oh, there's so much about it. And the real thing that has me most excited is developing these relationships with other people who are just as excited as you about improving themselves and being their own personal best. And that is awesome. Let me give a quick example of how cool that is. I have been following a lot of people on Twitter and blogs and Facebook for many years, and I've learned so much from them. And one of the things that some people say is a negative thing is that there's an echo chamber. And what I've found is that there's not so much of an echo chamber as it's pretty easy for me to find people that I want to connect with and associate with and become better with. And you're a perfect example of that, Daniel. As soon as you got in that Voxer group, I was like, there's something special about this guy. I want him as part of my life because he's the kind of person that I want to associate with. Jennifer Gonzalez is another one, the Cult of Pedagogy lady. I don't think she'd like I just said that, but she's inspiring and she's someone that I want to be like and want to have as one of my close friends so that I can go to her for advice and tips. And, we all have a different criteria for which we determine who we want to associate with. And that is a pretty powerful opportunity for us to get in this mastermind and rub shoulders with these giants. And they may not seem like giants at the time, but once you get to know them and you see that they are engaged and care just like you do, then that's when you're going to be stoked that you're part of a group with them.
So what are people going to get when they sign up tomorrow? So actually tell us where to sign up. How do we get more information? And what do people get by joining you in your masterminds?
So sign up, go to transformativeprincipal.org/mastermind, and you can set up a call to see if this is a good fit for you. And I want it to be a good fit for everybody who comes. I don't want anybody to be part of it that isn't totally stoked about it. So transformativeprincipal.org/mastermind. That's how we connect and sign up for a call. Then once you do join, we're going to have a lot of bonus features. We're going to do a leadership book each month. We're going to do a DISC personality profile, do the Strengths Finder assessment. If you haven't done that already, it's such a powerful thing. I got to tell you, when I started interviewing for principal positions, once I did the Strengths Finder assessment, I got the next job that I interviewed for because it allowed me to speak about myself positively without sounding cocky, which was an amazing thing to be able to do. So that kind of a thing, we're going to take those. We're going to learn how to communicate with each other. Once we learn how to do that, we're going to start establishing, I'm going to give you the communication cards that I sell on my website, and you can see what those are like. And then as we go along, we're going to find things that each person needs and then tailor the mastermind group to those people. So, it'll vary depending on what we got, but there's going to be a lot of great things that you'll walk away with. The leadership book each month, the extra resources, the connections with people. There's going to be a ton. Now, I know that you're giving away some tickets to the Global Leadership Summit, and I haven't figured out what I want to do that's like that, but that was such a good idea and so inspiring that I think what I want to do is give away some tickets to some conference I'm going to next year and have a buddy go with me, which sounds really cool, like what you're doing. So that's a surprise yet to be determined is what I'll say to that. And we'll see what other opportunities arise.
Sign me up. I love surprises.
So, Daniel, this has been really cool having you host my podcast and ask me questions, and allowing me to host your podcast and ask you questions. I'd encourage everyone who's listening to go over to Better Leaders, Better Schools to learn more about what Daniel is doing and the awesome things that he has available. Daniel, the last question I ask everybody who's on the show is, what's one thing that a principal can do this week to be a transformative principal like you are?
Take care of your people. And it's simple. You can just write them a thank you card, or look them straight in their eyes and tell them how much they mean to you because of their hard work and how they serve the community. Maybe you know their favorite snack. So here's a quick tip. When we build our emergency forms at the beginning of the year, everybody forgets that I have a couple weird questions at the end. So not just who your primary care physician, all that type of stuff, but I ask, what kind of music do you like to listen to? And so I could play that at a meeting. What is your favorite snack, right? And when people's when your birthday is, when their birthdays come around or the holiday seasons, I show up. And this is my favorite story. PE teacher, huge, big, tall guy. Picture him. Nice, big, bustling beard, bald head. Matt Barrett, Brooks College Prep. His favorite snack is gummy worms. I never would have known that if I hadn't asked that question. And when I surprised him with a bag of gummy worms for Christmas, you would think that he'd start crying. He gave me the biggest hug ever. And that's when I knew I was onto something. So just honor your people, know your people, and treat them like the incredible resources that they are.
That is an awesome story. Thank you so much for sharing that. How can people get in touch with you and learn more from you, Daniel?
Well, I need to get a phone number like you where I could just say 8 Daniel Bauer, but I don't know. Did you buy that, or how did that work?
That's a Google Voice phone number.
Yeah.
So I requested it when I signed up for Google Voice, and they just happened to have one that spelled Jethro. So I was like, yes, please.
That is so awesome. So I don't have that phone number, but you can call me, or you can email me, Daniel@betterleadersbetterschools.com. Very, very active on Twitter. So @_betterschools. Stop by the website, betterleadersbetterschools.com. We'll definitely get in touch. I want to get to know you. And listen, listeners, I hope that you are thrilled with this idea of masterminds. Jethro is the guy to lead them. And I hope that, you say yes. You deserve it. The investment that you're making in yourself, the community, the kids, your families, your spouses, they deserve it too. And it's the right choice. So I really encourage you to reach out to Jethro and get more information.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Have a great day.
It was an honor. Thanks.
Transformative Principal is a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. Visit edupodcastnetwork.com to hear more great podcasts that will help you improve your teaching and leading.